Welcome to Toastmaster Time, the show that's got everybody talking. My name is James Jeffley. I'm excited to be your host for this special edition of Toastmaster Time. Normally we have prepared speeches, we'd have an evaluator, but tonight is the Humorous Speech Contest show. And to tell us more about that is our very own Chief Judge, Trich Gray. Trish?
You are correct, James. Tonight we are having competitors from our Humorous Speech Contest. When you have a contest, you have to have judging criteria. These are what the judges are going to be looking for. It breaks down into three categories: content, delivery, and language. Content, 55%, has to do with speech development because it's a speech, not a series of one-liners like a comedian's monologue. Has to do with effectiveness, how you get your point across. Value, is it worth your audience's time to be here? And then they better laugh. The audience better laugh. Then under delivery, that's 30%. That has to do with how they physically use the space. They have a confident manner, exude confidence. And also under language, that's worth 15%. And that has to do with, do you choose colorful words? Do you use grammar properly? That's all the kind of items that judges are looking for when they evaluate a humorous speech. So hopefully you're loosening up your smile muscles and we are ready to laugh. James?
I'm looking forward to having a few chuckles over here with you, Trish. Well, for this moment, I'd like to introduce our very first contestant to the show, Sarah Berger. Sarah, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Happy to be here, James.
How long have you been a Toastmaster?
Been a Toastmaster just over 8 months. I joined late March.
Oh, so a fairly new Toastmaster.
Indeed.
How did you get involved in Toastmasters?
Well, my roommate at the time was actually heavily involved in the Toastmasters community, and she brought me to one of her club meetings.
It's those roommates. They'll do it every time.
They get ya.
And what made you want to get into the humorous speech contest?
Well, James, I don't even know your name.
So you're being funny right now.
Well, humor is really all I know, and I use it a lot in my classroom, and I thought it would be a nice, easy way to dive into the whole contest circuit.
Great. So you're using your Toastmaster skills in your job.
Trying to.
Outstanding. You ready to give your speech?
So ready.
We'll give you a moment to prepare, and I'll tell the audience a little bit more about Toastmasters.
Sounds great.
A typical manual speech is one where people focus on specific things they want to improve from one of the 17 manuals that Toastmaster offers, including props, vocal variety, gestures, etc. This speech is a little different because it focuses on humor. Well, let's get ready to laugh. Sarah Berger, chemistry, Sarah Berger.
It's 8:15 a.m. on Monday. There is an entire bag of Cheetos on the floor. I do not know where Dylan is. 2 people are crying. Fellow Toastmasters, random audience members of the interwebs, my students call me Miss Berger, but you can call me Sarah. And despite what that short dialogue may have led you to believe, I teach high school. How many of you wish that you got to spend all day, every day, with 167 16-year-olds? No? Does that not appeal to you? Well, you're not alone. It turns out teenagers, universally terrifying. And I think that there's a variety of reasons for that. One, maybe it's that dead fish look in their eyes. That so silently and succinctly conveys that they have seen a better version of literally anything you can say or do. Perhaps being around teenagers reminds you of the emotional roller coaster of your own teenage years. But I think the main reason is that adults follow this kind of agreed upon code of conduct. You'll meet your occasional rude and dismissive individual, but for the most part, adults know how to treat other adults. For example, let's say you're at a particularly bad meeting. The worst thing you're going to do is you're going to lean over, whisper something sassy to your coworker. But you're not about to take out your pen and chuck it at Stacy from an accounting in attempts to derail the presenter. Not so with high schoolers. Not only will they do whatever comes to their mind, but they will also say whatever comes up. I have literally never been so bored. Where did you get your teaching credential? I have little to no understanding of why you're here. This is your job. Be better at it. Wow. Oh, it's my job to take all of that and redirect it in a way that allows me to build a positive community where we can get things done in my classroom. And when I first started teaching, which despite the fact that I look like I'm 12, was several years ago, I was told that the best way to accomplish a functioning classroom was to play hardball. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna sit down, I'm not gonna smile till Christmas, nobody is gonna mess around. It is my way, or the highway. It turned out that didn't really work for me because that's not at all who I am. My students know me as a cinnamon roll. I have exactly 0 hard edges, and I truly believe I can solve all problems by just wrapping them in the gooey center of my love. But teenagers are people, and they're not always having the best day. And unlike adult people, they don't always know the best way to communicate the fact that their day is not going so well. So what I found was when I started to get angry or defensive about their behavior, it only got worse. And so I decided, let's try some humor. So let's run through some scenarios that I encounter every day in my classroom. 1, teenagers love to be confrontational. So sometimes they'll say things just to get a rise out of you. I did not know we had a test today. This is bull. Well, I did not know that those little Chinese takeout boxes unfold into plates. So we've both been cheated. Ugh, I hate school. Noted. But have you ever wondered what it would be like to have chameleon hands? Miss Berger, my mom called and she needs you to change my grade to a B. Stacy, in this economy? The other thing that I typically see is that teenagers get embarrassed more easily than the rest of us, and they try to do a lot of things to save face. So this one is my specialty because I am incredible at being the most embarrassing person in the room. It just makes everybody else more comfortable. So I'll just give you one example of this one. Let's say the worst thing that could ever happen to you happens and you sneeze and a big old booger just shoots right out, right? That's mortifying. Nobody likes that. Well, don't you worry. I'm going to swoop in and I'm going to tell the entire class about the one time I had a sinus infection and I thought it would be a good idea to use a neti pot. So, you got the neti pot. It's the little like teapot. Like pour it into your sinus cavities and it's supposed to like dribble out the other side. Well, this second step, this coming out of my sinuses step, did not happen. So my sinuses filled up with an incredible amount of water and there was so much pressure in my face that I couldn't even close my mouth. My teeth hurt. But being the incredible dedicated teacher that I am, I obviously went to school the next day anyway. So here I am writing on the board with my incredible face pressure and I feel a sneeze coming along. And I think, oh, well, what's the worst that could happen? Turns out pretty bad. I sneezed literally a cup and a half of just liquid booger solution just all over the front of my shirt. An incredible day in education, but also you better believe that was first period and I taught the rest of the day in that booger shirt, loud and proud. So there you go. You can't be embarrassed about your tiny booger when you've got a booger shirt teacher. Now, maybe you're not a high school teacher, so you think, how is this relevant to me? Well, these strategies work for people in your everyday life as well. So if you have someone who's in kind of a negative downward spiral, catch them off guard with your response. Just say something ridiculous that brings them out of it. Or maybe you have someone who's shy and they don't want to engage in your team or they don't want to give somebody feedback? Well, you can make them more comfortable by sharing stories of your own stumbles, fails, trip-ups, anything that goes wrong, to make them realize that we're all making mistakes and we're all growing together. So, Toastmasters, I teach chemistry, and let me tell you, chemistry is not always just about the chemicals. Back to you.
Sarah, that was great. Come on back over. When contestants participate in the speech contest, they start at their club, and then they move on to the area, the division, and then the district. And you won your division contest.
That is correct.
I have to tell you, you had me at gooey center of your love, and then chameleon hands.
A classic.
And then booger shirt. How do you come up with funny ideas for a humorous speech?
Well, it helps when your life is ridiculous.
Okay, ridiculous life.
But really, you just want to look for those small moments that are relatable to a wide audience, that really show your vulnerability and your personality. So what are things that are happening to you in your everyday life, but are still relatable and can still make people laugh without feeling embarrassed or like they're attacking you or doing anything wrong.
Right. And I love that, because sometimes people think, oh, I want to do the humorous contest, but I don't know how to be funny.
Right.
And you just demonstrate it. You pull things from your regular life, which are hilarious in and of themselves. Did you enjoy competing?
I had a great time.
Excellent. Well, it's time for a break. Thank you. It was a funny, funny speech. You're watching Toastmaster Time. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back to Toastmaster Time, the show that's got everybody talking. I am honored to be here with our second guest, the District 57 Humorous Speech Contest winner, Jim Volponi. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
What club are you representing?
I represent the Amador Valley Toastmasters located in Pleasanton.
In Pleasanton. And how long have you been a Toastmaster?
I joined Toastmasters in 1985, so it's over 30 years.
Wow. You've seen just about everything then.
Seen everything. I've heard many things.
Now, seeing is also related to your profession, isn't it?
Correct. I'm an optometrist, and when I was at the UC Berkeley School of Optometry, one of our professors told us that we do understand what we're doing with the eyes, but we just don't have the communication skills to work with patients. And he suggested Toastmasters. At that time, as a student, you think you know it all. I say, okay. But it wasn't until later when I got out and I realized that every exam is like table topics. You're asking questions of patients, they're asking you questions. And also at that time I realized that the real world isn't exactly like college, where everybody's the same age and has the same interest.
Exactly.
So I looked for a club that had young people that were interested in improving communication skills, and I got a taste of it and I've never left.
Outstanding. Well, are you ready to give us your award-winning speech?
Let's get it going.
We'll give you a moment to prepare, and I'll tell the audience a little bit more about Toastmasters.
Thank you.
Toastmasters is an international organization dedicated to helping people overcome their fear of public speaking, improving their communication skills, as well as their leadership skills. We do this by providing a supportive atmosphere at one of 16,000 clubs worldwide. We are in 136 countries, and we have a little over 345,000 members. So if you're looking to improve those skills in your life, I'm sure there's a club near you. For right now, I'd like to introduce our second speaker to tonight's show, Jim Volponi. Scam it, Jim Volponi.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, a while ago I received a letter. It was like no letter that I'd ever received before. It told the sordid tale of a princess and her people who were facing immediate annihilation unless I deposited an undisclosed amount of money into an untraceable Cayman Islands bank account. Kind sir,
Could you be the one to save these persecuted unfortunates? Can you believe that? I mean, really, out of all the people in the United States, they picked me to save these people. Oh, I was touched. My wallet was touched. I couldn't get to my checkbook fast enough to start writing. Wait a minute. I recognize those looks that you're giving to me. Some of you are saying to me, Jim, don't do it. It's a scam. But the rest of you are saying to yourself, was she a beautiful princess? Did she wear a tiara? Did you help her out? Oh, yes. We know who we are. And that's why this speech is so important for you to hear tonight. Because if you can smell a scam that stinks like the rancid fish you threw in the garbage but forgot to take outside before you left on a 3-week vacation, then you need to learn that 3 techniques, culled from Toastmaster Table Topics practice, on how to handle scam artists. Last Wednesday, I received a telephone call. Hello, this is Peter. I'm a serviceman for the PG&E, and I'm coming by your place in 30 minutes to turn off your power for non-payment of your bill. Scam alert, scam alert, scam alert. What Peter didn't realize is that he just contacted someone who was well-versed in the verbal art of self-defense. After years of Toastmaster table topic practice, I developed 3 techniques to handle scam artists. Technique number 1, the dramatic approach. Peter, you may not realize this, but this is a healthcare facility where people are hooked up to life support units. If you cut the power to this building, you're going to be responsible for the demise of many people's lives. But even if you have no regard for human life, I don't know if anything could prepare you for the savage, caffeine-starved, crazed employees that are going to tear you limb from limb when they realize that you're the one that cut the power to the cappuccino maker. No, I didn't think about that. I thought not. Click. Technique number 2. Give them what they want. They want some money, just give it to them. Look, Peter, whatever you do, don't cut the power to this building. We can work this out. I can pay you whatever you want. How do we go about doing this? We take a checks or cards. What bank is your checking account housed at? I bank at the Zebulon Pike First National Armory Fund and Mortgage Bank. Oh, I'm not familiar with that bank. Well, it's the biggest bank west of the Mississippi. And where is the Mississippi? In the United States? Oh, never mind. We take cards. Great. I have a Diners card. I have a Chevron card. I have a Mickey Mantle card. What kind of card do you want? We take a Visa or a MasterCard. Great. Never leave home without it. You got a pencil? Here's my number. 8811-7934-6271-1543-8679-927. Wait a minute. That's too many numbers. Well, you see, Peter, for security reasons, I added a few extra digits, and then I scrambled up the numbers. So all you have to do is take out the extra numbers and unscramble the digits, and you'll have my credit card number. Never mind. Click. Technique number 3, and this is the one that really gets to them, is you just go stupid on them. What? You're going to turn off the lights in our building? Well, I know where all the switches are. I can turn them right back on. No, you idiot. I'm going to turn them off the outside. I don't think so. I don't think we'll have a switch on the outside. All the switches are inside the building, and I know that whenever I turn them on, the lights always go on. You are a bloody idiot. It takes one to know one. Click. So there you have it. 3 techniques to handle scam artists. Technique number 1, the dramatic approach. Technique number 2, give them what they want. And technique number 3, just go stupid on them. Now at this point, I know you're wondering, how did I handle this situation? Well, if the truth be told, my parents always taught me that honesty is the best policy. So this is what I said. Look, Peter, I can't pay you right now. All of my money is being sent to an untraceable Cayman Islands bank account to save a princess and her people from immediate annihilation. There was a pause. And then, what? Did my punk sister Pamela play that prank scam on you? Wait till I get out of here. I will paddle her. Click. I guess there is no honor among thieves. Scam it, Mr. Toastmaster.
Jim, that was great. Come on back over. You know, one of the things that many people who are looking at getting into contests wonder is, how do I go about picking a subject for a humorous talk? How did you choose this?
This pretty much fell right into my lap. I did receive the letter years ago, but about a week before the contest, one of the staff members came up to me and said, there's a PG&E guy on the phone. He's going to come and turn off the power. And I spoke to the gentleman, and at that point in time, he hung up on me because I was asking him too many questions. So one of those unusual situations that is funny looking back, but at the time was a little bit stressful.
So life presented the material to you. You just had to have some hindsight to look back on and go, oh, there are gems in this.
There's a catcher's mitt waiting for every funny story to come along.
If there's one other piece of advice you could give to Toastmasters, either about humorous contests or about competing in general, what's your best piece of advice for them?
My best piece of advice after 30 years is don't give up. I've been in many contests. I've come very close many, many times. And it was such an exciting thing to reach this level. All the contestants were top-notch. I felt I was supporting my club, who have supported me for years and years, and it was just the culmination of really a dream to get to this level, because I've seen so many great speakers before who have reached this level. So my advice is don't give up. You learn something from every contest, win or lose, and if you take that, you will eventually reach the next level.
That's great advice, and I'm sure that will be very helpful to many of the Toastmasters out there who are considering competing. Congratulations and a fine job.
Thank you very much.
It's time to take another break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Toastmaster Time TV. We'll be right back.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back to Toastmaster Time, the show that's got everybody talking. And I want to welcome back to the show our Chief Judge, Trich Gray. Trish, welcome.
Thank you.
So we heard 2 really funny speeches tonight, and as the Chief Judge, there were certain criteria that you were looking for. How well did our contestants meet that criteria?
It's interesting because they had 2 very different approaches. Jim, he used the stage a little bit more. You could tell when he was talking to the different people. So he used the stage, for example, over here he was talking to the telemarketer or the scammer, and when he was over here it was the scammer talking. He used his voice. It kind of sounded like an Australian accent.
You did.
But, you know, it was different from his. And I think that that helped us understand the situations and make it very, very clear that there was another person in the speech, the scammer. Whereas with Sarah, her was all about the story. And I think sometimes the funniest stories are the ones where we make fun of ourselves. And I have to say, I don't know that I would have been so willing to share a story about, neti
The
pots.
solution.
And, like, woo, okay. And now you've competed in a number of speeches, especially with the more serious international speech contest. Would you agree that it is the personal stories that help to draw people in?
Absolutely, because the audience is sitting there, they're listening to your speech, and they're trying to find what relates to them, to their life. And if you can tell a personal story, it shows some vulnerability, a greater connection with the audience, and you're able to relate more with them.
Well, all right, now you have a lot of competing experience. So if you don't mind, let's just go over for a moment what the steps are. Someone who is interested in competing. So you start at the club level.
Start at the club level, then you go to the area if you win your club, and if you win that.
How many clubs are typically in an area?
Oh, 4 to 6 clubs.
Okay.
And then you win that, you go to your division, and so that could be a few dozen clubs. And then if you win that, you go to the district, which would be all of the clubs.
And that's normally an audience of what, maybe 200 to 300 people watching that contest?
Yes, yes.
So you have kind of start with, your club, maybe 10 to 15 people in the audience, go up to maybe 30 to 40 people in the audience.
Right.
So it kind of goes up to.
It goes up.
Yeah. And do you prepare differently for each level of the competition, or?
Sometimes I'm always looking at my speeches going, how can I make it better? What worked with these audiences? What didn't work? Change a phrase, change something around a little bit here, be a little more dramatic, use more vocal variety or gestures. But I'm trying to connect and get that story and that point across as poignantly and as powerfully as I can. So I'm always looking to tweak.
Now, do you actually go to different clubs to practice your speech?
I go to as many clubs as will have me. And I practice, because I want to see what works in different clubs.
So maybe try a particular story, a particular phrase in this club. If you don't get an audience response, maybe tweak it when you go to the next club.
Exactly.
Have you found?
And speaking of tweaking, I want to tweak you right there. That's all we have time for. Thank you, Trish. That's our show. Thank you all for joining us here on Toastmaster Time. We tape our show in the San Francisco Bay Area, and if you'd like more information about the show, you can visit us on the web at toastmastertime.com. We're sponsored by Toastmasters District 57, and to learn more about them, you can visit us at d57tm.org. If you'd like more information about Toastmasters International, you can visit us on the web at toastmasters.org. We appreciate all of the wonderful staff and volunteers here at the Media Center in Palo Alto, where we tape our show. And again, thanks to our guest speakers, Sarah, Jim, to our chief judge, Trish, and to all of the wonderful folks out there watching the show. From all of us at Toastmaster Time, I'm James Jeffley, your host. Thank you for watching the show. Join Toastmasters and keep talking.